The two men had already been stranded at sea for 30 hours, and everyone else had disappeared without a trace. Watching their companions vanish before their eyes, they instantly fell into despair. In a situation like this, freezing, starving, and exhausted, most people would never be able to hold on. The only reason the two of them were still alive was because they had a little more body fat than most. Just when they were starting to feel lucky, a giant shark suddenly appeared. The two men were scared out of their minds and scrambled up to higher ground to escape. But then more and more sharks showed up. With just one reach, they could almost touch the fear of death. At the most critical moment, a few packs of sandwiches suddenly floated up on the sea. The two men, starving and desperate, wanted to grab them, but the sharks kept circling around them, so they had no chance at all. At this point, Will had already lost the will to live and was ready to close his eyes and wait for death. But Nick did not want to give up like that. He held tightly onto his companion to keep warm.
I get strong! You get strong! We get strong! I get strong! You get strong!
The two of them shouted for a long time and finally made it through until nightfall. Nearby rescue workers were still searching for them, but sadly, even after 2 days and 2 nights, they still had not found them. These two men had practically become swimming champions by now. They had lost count of how many times the waves had knocked them back into the water. There was only one thought left in their minds. They had to stay alive and make it home to see their families. That belief gave them incredible strength. Every time the waves knocked them down, they would fight their way back onto the yacht again. But after all, they were only flesh and blood. After 2 days and 2 nights of suffering, their strength was almost completely gone. To keep from being swept away, they had no choice but to tie themselves down with ropes. And it actually worked. The two of them were firmly secured to the yacht, and the waves could no longer really hurt them. At most, they could only slam them a couple of meters away. After figuring out this trick, the two men were unbelievably excited. Beating the waves felt even more thrilling than catching a huge fish. Just then, a rescue plane flew overhead. The two men immediately stood up and shouted as loud as they could, but the other side seemed completely blind and did not notice them at all. It was clear now that relying on others was not going to work. They had to find their own way to survive. So Will took the risk and dove into the cabin to look for food. After searching for a long time, he finally found a bottle of sports drink and a bag of salt and pepper crisps. Nick, who had been starving for 2 days, stuffed the food wildly into his mouth. That little bit of food was enough to help them hold on for another 3 days. After getting some energy back, they noticed a light flashing in the distance. So they immediately pulled out a phone to check for a signal. But sadly, there was still no signal at all. The two men could no longer tell whether what they were seeing was real or just a hallucination. After being stranded at sea for 3 days, the two of them decided to give up on the broken boat and desperately swam toward the light ahead. But what happened next only made them feel even more hopeless.